Welcome back. This is going to be a very short video on the historical thinking skills that we're going to use all year. You should have a set of notes that are partially filled in that say sourcing, close reading, contextualization, and corroboration on the far left, and you're going to fill that in as we go. So let's jump right into it. What are these skills and why do we need them? So the first one is sourcing. It's probably the most important thing whenever you're looking at primary sources. Sourcing is basically asking questions about the person who made it or where it came from. And we're trying to determine if there is a reliability issue, if we don't trust them, or why we should trust them. And we're looking for their point of view or perspective. And I love this picture of the boat on top and the sharks on the bottom, because when you're on top of the water, everything looks, safe and it looks very nice, but below the water could be danger. So it gives us both perspectives of this event by having this camera shot that's a little bit above and a little bit below the water. So in sourcing, we ask a very specific set of questions. We want to know who wrote it, what's the author's perspective, why was it written, where was it written, and in general, is it reliable or not? So, for example, let's say that a doctor writes an article about how this new vitamin supplement is really good for your heart and you should all buy it. Well, we might go, okay, it's a doctor telling us to buy this vitamin. But let's say we find out that doctor gets money from the vitamin company as someone that they can rely on to, endorse their vitamins. Well, we might say that he has a conflicted interest, that he might just be saying that it's good for your heart to make money. So it's really important to ask questions like that. Why someone created something. Was it to persuade you to think a certain way? That's why sourcing is so very important. The next one is close reading. This is the simplest of them in that it's reading what the source says. Each paragraph. What does each paragraph tell us? But also, more importantly, how it says it. What words are they trying to use to persuade you? The type of language that they use to stir emotions. We have to pay attention to those kinds of things. So the questions we want to ask as we're reading something, what claim is the author making, if any? Do they use evidence? Are there facts and examples they use good, or are they opinions? The language, word choice, to persuade their audience. And does their use of language help us identify their perspective? Contextualization is one of those more challenging ones. When we did the lunchroom fight activity, the example of that gave us the information about Justin's father who took over the company and had to lay off a lot of people or fire them, and that's what made Max mad. So we had to understand that in order to understand what happened in the lunchroom fight. So contextualization is finding information about the place, the time, and situation the document was made. And a lot of that information is going to come from secondary sources like our textbook or an encyclopedia. So it really helps us understand this picture here. We see this picture, we can clearly see some police officers who are hitting people. We can see right here in the front that the man is being attacked by this officer. The man is on the ground is black, and the officers are, from what I can tell, white. So it looks old though, right? So what we would need to know is when was this taken and what might have been going on during that time. Well, you find out this was taken in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement, and this is one of the protests that took place during that time. I believe this was taken in, not Montgomery, Selma, one of the Selma protests. So the questions we want to ask when thinking about what was going on at this time: when and where was this document created? What was the difference then? What's the same? So that's actually pretty telling about today. Unfortunately, we have a lot of violence taking place in communities where white police officers are harming unarmed African Americans. And so that's something that has, while gotten better over time, is still something that our nation struggles with. But this picture was taken at a different time, and it's important to know that. The last one, how might the circumstances in which the document was created affect its content? So we know why this was made, or why this picture was taken, was due to a protest, and they knew this would probably happen, and they wanted it potentially to spark some emotion in people. And the last of the skills is corroboration. This is comparing sources of information to find similarities and differences in what they say. So this one's actually pretty straightforward too. If you read something and it agrees with another piece of information, those things typically support each other. So the more evidence you have stacked on your side, the better your argument can be. Also at attacking the other side that might have weak evidence. So corroboration, you're gathering evidence to try and make the best argument. And the questions you simply want to ask, what do other documents say? Do the documents agree or disagree? Why not? Or why? What are other possible documents that could be out there that could help this? And what documents are most reliable? So if you have documents that agree with each other, is there one that's more reliable than the other? If documents disagree with each other, is there one that you can determine through sourcing is more reliable than the other? Those are important. They go kind of hand in hand. And that's it. Thanks for watching.